There is this ritual before starting the cello practice. Even before playing the first scale, even before tuning the instrument, even before making any sound whatsoever, you take the bow. Where is the bow? Where is this bow? Oh! Oh! And you tighten the bow with this screw right here. Hello, my name is Gabriel Hollander and welcome to this new video. As some of you may know, I just finished my first year of practicing the cello. In this video, I'll talk about why I decided to practice this instrument, and then I'll share with you 5 things that I've learned after 1 year of cello practice. If like me you work with string ensembles and you've never touched a cello or a string instrument before, then this video might be of interest for you. Also, if you're a Jedi master of the cello, then you'll probably already know most of the things in this video. Perhaps the topics in this video will remind you of some good memories, so feel free to stick around. So without further ado, let's start with the first part of this video. Why did I start to practice the cello? For that, let us get back in time, way back. As an instrumentalist, I had the most experience playing and practicing the piano. That's the instrument I picked up when I was a small kid, and I've been practicing it for almost a quarter of a century. What you're hearing right now is one of the earliest recordings of me at the piano, Beethoven's Sonatina in G major, recorded in 1997. It is also as a pianist that I've gained much experience accompanying friends on their instruments. I was still in my early teens when I discovered the instruments of the symphonic orchestra and the choir. I still remember vividly the feeling I had when I accompanied for the first time my flute player friend. My mind was like divided in two, one half to listen to the piano and the other one to listen to the flute my friend was playing. If you've ever accompanied someone, or you've played in a band or in a chamber music group, I'm sure you've experienced this same feeling. In a theoretical music class, counterpoint studies this attention to understand and follow different musical lines at the same time. And developing counterpoint skills is a great tool to have to feel secure when you're standing in front of a musical group. By the way, over the years I've met many other conductor pianists who told me exactly the same thing. Probably one of the most important skills they brought back from their piano background was this knowledge and understanding of counterpoint and harmony. Now, before I started to practice the cello last year, most of the understanding I had about instruments came from reading books, or accompanying instrumentalists, or listening to recordings and looking at videos. Yes, I knew that the double bass was the only string instrument with its strings tuned in fourth. Or that the lowest note on the flute is a C, except if your flute has got a B joint. Or that most bassoons have the tendency to play flat in higher registers. But somehow I wanted to go from this rather passive understanding of musical instrument to a real active one where I felt how it is to play an instrument. A bit like what Tisha Marshik said in her TED Talk about learning styles.
Similarly, if a music teacher wanted you to know the different parts of a symphony orchestra, then yeah, going to an orchestra and listening to one would be beneficial, but it would also add to the experience if you had the capability to touch the instruments, or maybe to learn how to play them.
So this is a story about why I started to take cello lessons. Now, what did I learn after 1 year of cello practice? I'm glad you asked. That's precisely the topic of the second part of this video. What I've learned after 1 year of cello practice. Lesson learned number 1. New relationship with music. Rediscovering music through this new medium, the cello, created for me a new relationship with music making and creating sound. Even though one might say that conductors play all instruments, it's still an indirect relationship with the sound creation. He or she communicates to the musicians and they then create the sound. Lesson learned number 2. Concrete sound making. If you've ever touched a piano key, I'm sure you'll be familiar with this second point. Because of the 10,000 moving parts in the modern piano, the music making is in a certain sense abstract or imagined. Let me explain. Whenever you move down one key, many parts will come into movement to finally get the hammer on the string, creating the piano sound. Probably one of the parts of any pianist's education is to simplify and understand this process of creating sound. However, with the cello, one has the bow in the right hand, and this creates a direct relationship between hand movement and sound creation. In this sense, the sound creation becomes tangible and, at least for me, became more concrete. It's really eye-opening to see from nearby how the string vibrates under the movement of the bow. Lesson learned number 3 about the bow. Now let's talk more about this bow. As Jonathan Humphries says in his video, 80% of the music that you create
on your cello comes from the right side of your body, your bow.
Most of the sound of the cello comes from the use of the bow in the right hand. According to Jonathan, only intonation and fingering are dealt with the left hand. All other variables like bowing, point of contact, tempo, articulation, dynamics, timbre, etc. come from the right hand. Now, even after 1 year of cello practice, I feel I've only scratched the surface to understanding how the bow works. It seems like this bow is able to create infinite possibilities to create sound. However, it's really helpful to not only imagine these possibilities in your head, but to play them with your hands and hearing the different sounds you can create. Lesson learned number 4, tuning. Tuning, the never-ending quest of sounding right. Even though I've been fascinated for a long time by different tuning systems, studying the cello developed my awareness for tuning even more. It's really helpful to explore how much the tuning can change by adapting the position of the left hand just a tiny bit. Also, this tuning seems to be even more sensitive when going in the higher registers of the string. For more information about tuning systems, I recommend having a look at the YouTube channel Early Music Sources. Lesson learned number 5. Intervals. Playing the cello also gave me an understanding about how the fingerboard of the instrument works. With this new understanding, I started to look at intervals in a new way, as they are of course physically different from those at the piano. For example, before playing the cello, I had always seen a fourth as a physical distance on the piano. Now on the cello, this fourth became a new physical distance between two strings with a specific fingering. For example, between second and fourth finger. In other words, the intervals on a cello became a whole new world. Lesson learned number 5. Redefining oneself. I'm sure if you've ever played in an orchestra before, you've probably seen some of the stereotypes Chris Lamb discusses in his article, The Truth About Orchestral Players. It seems from this funny article there might be some stereotypical link between someone and his or her instrument. However, as I've always considered myself as a pianist and later on as a conductor, practicing the cello in this sense made me redefine my musical identity. It's a bit like what Leslie Jane Seymour discusses in her podcast Reinvent Yourself, where she interviews people doing, well, just that. Thanks to the 1 year long practice of the cello, I feel able to connect musically deeper with the cello section and generally with the string players of the orchestras I'm working with. So this is it for this video. Let me know in the comments below if any of these lessons learned made any sense for you. Perhaps you've also started to play an instrument recently. If so, feel free to share your experiences about how it goes for you. If you've enjoyed this video, thanks for hitting that like button. I really appreciate it. If you wish to be notified of the latest videos of this channel and you haven't done so, then consider subscribing to this channel and hitting that like button. That's it for now. Until next time, take care.